In today's session, we're going to start talking about extending our Azure AD risk anomalies with Power Automate. And how we do this is through the MCAS tool. So if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button down below. And if you want to subscribe to more videos from Netwoven, click subscribe. So when we look at how notifications happen in MCAS, we have a few options. The first one is to use out-of-the-box notifications. This is an email-based notification or SMS-based and just alerts the user that there was an anomaly detected. What we're going to do is extend this and talk about providing additional information to the user and allowing them to call to action. So, how do I fix this anomaly? Then we're going to progress a little bit further and allow the user to make a judgment call whether this was really their activity or not. And then the last is we're going to progress from email notifications all the way into adaptive cards inside of Teams. Let's start off with a very common alert from MCAS, which is the unfamiliar country alert. This happens if users sign in from a VPN or, are in the midst of a travel. They sign in through the airport. MCAS is going to trigger the alert. So inside of MCAS, we're going to look at the policy for infrequent country. And when we look at this policy, we can go through the default alerts. I can send this alert to my IT help desk. I can send an alert to a text message. I can also send the alert through Power Automate. And this is what some of the more mature companies are starting to do. Use Power Automate to automate incident responses through playbooks. Before we get into that one, I do want to show just out of the box what we could do. We could turn on notify the user. So when a user signs in from an infrequent country, they will receive an email. That email doesn't provide a lot of context. It mentions that there's suspicious behavior for your account, and you should contact your system administrator, whoever that is. So this is out of the box, and it leaves a lot to be desired. So let's enhance this with Power Automate, and we're going to send some additional information. Going back into our policy, instead of notifying the user through out of the box, we're going to select a playbook. Now, if this option is grayed out, you need to log into Power Automate or Microsoft Flow first. When you select the drop down, you'll probably only have Manage Playbooks. In my scenario, I've already created a couple playbooks for this demonstration, so I can see those as well. So let's start with impossible travel. What does this look like? So inside of Power Automate, I have my playbooks. If I look at the impossible travel that we just selected, you can see that I'm using the MCAS trigger when an alert is generated, and I'm sending an email from a shared mailbox. So my InfoSec team is going to send an email to the compromised entity. And I've customized my email to make it look pretty, have company branding, and also add the alert type, the country, the IP address, and the description from MCAS. So let's see what that looks like. So the email that now gets generated gets sent from the InfoSec team, and has a lot more information in it. It's branded with our logo. It has links to our InfoSec page, FAQs about identity protection, and kind of asks the user, don't recognize the activity? Well, report a suspicious activity. So this is a call to action. The user can go ahead and click through and report that they've seen that they were not responsible for that behavior. Well, this isn't the best we can do, right? What if users ignore this email? We still have to go in and clean up the alert. So we have the next level, which is email with options. So let's go back into our policy. Instead of impossible travel, we'll do impossible travel with options. And let me show you what that flow looks like. Possible travel with options. We have the same when alert is generated, but now we're sending an email with options. And for those that aren't familiar with the actionable emails in Outlook, this is going to give our users two buttons, one that says help and one that says this was me. And then what we're going to do is based on which button they press, we're either going to post a message in Teams saying, hey, this user needs help, the account may be compromised. Or if they say, no, this was me, we're going to go ahead and close out that alert in MCAS as false positive. And this is really key because now we're starting to clean up those alerts in MCAS so that our InfoSec team doesn't have to go and review and investigate. We're also going to take the opportunity to send this email as high priority so that it gets the user's attention. So now our email looks a little bit different. It's not branded necessarily, but we have an actionable message. So it says unusual behavior detected, your account, the details of the account, so the country, the IP, a description, this admin account performed an activity and no activity was performed in the last 42 days. And below it allows us to put these actionable buttons in. So when I click help, that's going to send a message off to my InfoSec team. And if I say this was me, it's going to go ahead and close out the MCAS alert. So I pressed this was me and was redirected to a thank you page. And if I now go in and look at my alerts, you'll see that one that unfamiliar sign in was closed out. So how could we improve this even more? Well, we've heard a lot that our users are trained not to click on links in emails. We we certainly that's how they got into this mess. And so what we want to do is rather than use email and have them click through on email, we want to post messages inside of Teams. So let's go back into our policy and we're going to select the impossible travel with adaptive cards. And this one is, in my opinion, the best of the bunch. So if you're not familiar with adaptable cards, Teams lets us post a message with actions, just like that email, that then go trigger other things. So very similar to that email, but it's inside of Teams. So again, when the alert is generated, but this time I'm going to post an adaptive card to Teams. Now, if you've never written an adaptive card, there's a really nice designer out there that can be used. And I basically relay that same message, right? Your account has been used in an unusual or suspicious manner. Here are the details. And then I give them two actions. First action is I do not recognize this activity. Help. The second action is this was me. So then I take a decision. And if the user says, I don't recognize this, I do that same message to my SOC team and say that this user may be compromised. But then I take it a step further and I actually update this user inside of Azure AD to disable the account. So this is, stopping that attack in its tracks. All the user has to do is click on the card that says this was not me, help, and we're going to lock out that account. So it will be intrusive to your users, but we would rather lose a couple, minutes to an hour of debug than to have a data exfiltration issue. So when I open Teams, I can see that there's a chat message for me. I can see that the Power Automate bot sent me an adaptive card. There was unusual activity detected, all that same information that was in email, but in this way, it's Teams. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, this was me. And the bot confirms, and the rest of my Power Automate flow runs and marks that policy alert as a false positive. So you can see that there's a lot of different ways that we can notify users of these policies and put the burden back on the user to either accept that this was their activity or alert the InfoSec team of any type of breach. I'll include all three of these flows in the description down below if you want to download them and import them into your tenant. And remember, if you liked this video, please hit the like button down below or subscribe. And if you need to get a hold of anybody at Netwoven, please email us at info@netwoven.com. Thank you.